All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel for the next episode of the John Morgan Vindicator build. So we are closing in on our our last day to get ready for the event. It's Monday night. We're leaving Wednesday morning super early. So I just got done getting the gear all in, got the doors set up, made some plastic hubcaps for the back of the wheels. Scott made the hubcaps for the front, for the outside of the wheel, and I made these for the inside because the wheel that's on these lightweight tires is really small and just looks kind of goofy. So I'm going to paint this. This is just natural plastic. I also made some, I'll show you in a second when I pull the gear out. I made some plastic covers to go over the struts because they're like really skinny and they just look dinky. So it's a big model, and so I wanted to do some of that. Now Scott made these gear doors not knowing anything about the dimensions in the wing, which is crazy. Now they're not perfect. There's a little bit of a gap here, but he made these and I didn't touch this opening. It's insane. But trying to get these things all centered and the geometry right and all that stuff, super big hassle. You see, this one's got a little bit more of a gap, but I mean, come on. We're talking about doors that were made without somebody having access to the wing, which is crazy. So anyways, let me pop this gear out here. Let me show you what I've done here. So yeah, like I said before, this is the vacuum form hubcap that Scott made, and what I did was I cut a slot into the tire and just glued it onto the tire itself. Let me show you what I got going on back here. So this is the plastic cover. There's a metal strut inside of here, but the problem was the strut ends about right here, and then this is just a wire leg. It looked terrible. So I covered it up. I'm gonna paint all this silver so it'll kind of blend together and look a little bit better. But so I did have to the scale angle on these doors when the gear are down, they kind of kick forward from right here. Well, that wasn't gonna work because when they're retracted, they kind of stuck up. So I cut it and beveled it, then glued it back together at a more of a straight angle. So we got that. The way I did it was I just put a block of wood in the front of the door here, and I glued a large hinge right to the front of the retract body itself. So that's where the hinge is mounted to. So when I pull this out, the door comes with the retract. So it's like a whole unit, which is kind of nice. So these aren't attached to the wing, which is good. These are just some plastic covers that I just tack glued on. They're gonna be there, and if I ever take it apart, I can just pop those off, no big deal. Let's see, so I got everything else all sorted out. This is just a bungee, so when it closes, the door stops on here, and then the strut keeps going and it pulls it nice and snug, so the door isn't loose or anything. So it works out pretty good. There's my sweet hubcaps. So yeah, so I've been super busy. If you watch my channel, you know that I just finished the T-33. I'm right in the middle of, just like John Morgan would have done. He would have built 3 airplanes at once. That's the way I roll. So I just did a paint job on this. If you remember from before, a long time ago, a few years ago, I had a Venom, and I loved it, and I crashed it because I was goofing around. And I had it in a United States Air Force early 1950s like experimental scheme, which is just all white with the markings. So I liked it a lot. I was gonna do something else. Like, me and Scott kicked around ideas about doing like a navy scheme or something with some day glow, but I just didn't have enough day glow or the time to like mask and do different colors and all the rest of that stuff. So for now, it's just getting the white scheme again. I think it's gonna look really cool. This one actually looks a lot nicer than my first one. I just did one application of spackle on the panel line, so you can still see them, but they're not huge. A couple coats of poly, and then one super light coat of primer, sanded it, and threw the paint on it. So I'm still kind of waiting for it to dry so I can do the anti-glare sections and throw the decals on it. And yeah, program the radio, and it's good to go. So Hornet's ready, as you know. P80 probably won't bring it because I'm just going to have too much stuff. F100, excuse the mess, it's just disaster right now. I did a couple of pilots. I made a pilot for my dad and one for me for our F100s. Don't look too close because those aren't actually stars. They're just kind of like blobs. They're good enough. But the stock cockpit, look, I mean, come on. This is an almost $600 model, and this is the cockpit. Really? Come on, guys. So anyways, I'm going to cut most of that out. My dad 3D printed some sweet seats. These are like T33 parts, actually. We just made some new ones. So if I can get to that, I'll get to it. If not, I'll just bring the F100 the way it is. But anyways, back to the Vindicator. Yeah, so she is good to go. This gear work actually pretty good. Hopefully they can handle the weight. Let's see, what else? I gotta paint all this stuff. That's what I'm getting ready to do. I'm getting ready to paint all the plastics. Then those will be done. Then it's just the bomb. Gotta paint the bomb. Gotta glue the tail wheel on, glue the tail wheel hatch on, the canopies, test run the motor. I did change my theory on the motor. So I was gonna run a 6-cell, but it would have been a really kind of a smaller prop, and I didn't want to have a small prop on this big huge model. So I ran some eCalc stuff and found out that I can run an 18-inch, 18 by 10 at about 700 watts on 3 cells. It's like 65, 70 amps, somewhere in there. So the ESC should be fine. I do have a couple of, we'll have a number of, I have some 5,000 3 cells and some 5,800. So I might need 2 of them in parallel just for nose weight. We'll see. Which will weigh the same as the 6-cell setup I was going to run before. So not a huge deal weight-wise. Scott informed me that the pilots are about 3.5 ounces a piece. They're kind of heavy, but they're super detailed, and you'll be pretty blown away when you see them. So I'm not worried about the weight. Flying quality-wise, I might have to add some nose weight or do a couple of things, move some stuff around to get the CG. But anyways, let me get some paint on here, and we'll show you how it looks after that. All right, so I put a little gray paint on these covers. Did some digging around, and it looks like the landing gear and the inside of the wheels are painted the same color as the bottom of the airplane. So, or it's close. It's hard to tell if it's silver or light gray, but we're gonna go with light gray because it matches the bottom of the airplane, and they probably would have done that for camouflage purposes. I don't know. That's my guess. Not a lot of information out there on this airplane, so kind of just winging it, if you will. Let's see. I painted what I could get to on the struts, so I'm gonna pop these puppies out, paint the rest of the struts, and I'll probably dirty them up a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but make them weather the gear a little bit, and that'll be it for the gear. We'll be done there. I did a little working on painting some of this, the bomb rack, and had to paint the back side of the bomb sling and all the rest of that stuff. So again, you're really gonna have to excuse this mess. It's bad. It's real bad. All right, so did a little weathering. This is just using water-based paints, brushed on and then smeared around with a wet rag. Did some, I don't know, dirty brake type stuff. Gear doors would have been pretty dirty. The gear well area would have been pretty dirty. In fact, these should be filthy. But maybe I'll airbrush those in at some point. I got the rack kind of painted up and dirtied up. Let's see. I got to paint the bomb still. This is one of the last things I got to paint. Put this here bomb on. So I got to paint the bomb. These pins right here, actually, you probably saw this in my other video, but the rack, Scott put magnets on the ends. It's crazy. So those are held on with magnets, and the pins hold it in place too. So, and then this has a magnet on the end, on this end of it, plus it slides into a plastic slot. So the bomb's actually pretty sturdy, but yep, gotta get that all painted up. Now, some people are probably gonna freak out about this one, but according to the information that I have, which is the Mahler page where they go over all the specific details on most of the Vindicators that they had pictures of. Most of them had a yellow bomb, and I don't know if that was normal for the time, but probably a pretty dirty yellow. Probably not like a very bright yellow, but I would imagine chipped up and dirty and whatever. So I'm gonna paint the bomb probably tomorrow, and but yeah, let's put these gear in, and man, I think we're calling this wing a wrap. I think we're done here. So now all we gotta do is tail wheel and cover and canopies and a few other little things. But the landing gear were the long pole on this one. I got those all sorted out. I did have to do a few things. I had to do a little toe in. The problem with these 90-degree rotating retracts is you always get a lot of toe slop, and toe is the angle of the tire. You get a lot of toe slop, and this one's really bad. And most of that's just in this pin right here. Now I can try and put some glue on that plastic to keep the slop from being so bad, but basically what happens is if you have an offset tire, so a tire on the side of the strut, when it's rolling, it's going to be pushing this back. So now you can see how much toe in there is, but it's going to be pushing it back when it's rolling up on its mains. When it's taxing, it'll probably be like this, honestly, because when the plane's sitting nose high and the gear raked forward, it's going to probably be towed in like this. But as soon as you go to take off and the tail comes up, these will tow back. And what you don't want when the tail comes up is for there to be a bunch of positive tow, which is tow this way. If you have too much positive tow, when the tail comes up, it'll act like brakes, and it could nose over pretty easily. So we want to avoid nosing over. And also when you touch down and land, it's going to want to go back. And if it's towed out too much, it's going to be a lot of drag, and it might, it's going to want to shear the pin, and it's going to want to yank back on the strut. So you want the wheels to be pretty much straight. They're just a tiny bit towed out when I push them all the way. Now if I can get rid of some of that slop, most of that will go away. This one's not too bad. This one's actually almost reasonable. And I think these are old school FMS retracts from like the old FMS Corsair. Pretty sure that's what these are from. But anyways, I think they turned out really cool. I really like the look of the landing gear on this thing. Look really neat. So super cool. I did shim them to give them a little bit of a forward rake. They were kind of like more straight up. And one of the problems is that when they retracted it, the hubcap was actually hitting the skin. And John, I don't think, had ever intended on having these hubcaps on here. But also it helps keep from nosing over if you put a little forward cant in the strut. So that's what we did. And yeah, I think we're done here. Woo! I hate doing landing gear stuff. It sucks. Gear doors, I can do it, but I do not enjoy it. All right, let's put these gear in and give it one final look. All right, so there you have it. Gear are done. Woo! I'm digging it. Doors, like I said, they're not perfect, but again, Scott made these doors not even having dimensions, so nailed it. But yeah, these things are flying off a tropical island where they got lots of rain, and so I'm sure runway is muddy, taxiway is muddy, lots of dirt underneath the airplane, I'm sure. So anywho, that looks pretty sweet. All right, so we have the airplane on its feet for the first time. I just did a couple little taxi laps. So far it's looking pretty good. The toe slop in the gear is definitely annoying. When it's sitting parked, they tow in pretty hard, especially that right side. But once it rolls, they straighten out and it's fine. So it just looks kind of goofy when it's sitting there. But yeah, this is the new battery arrangement. I got a 3-cell on each side, and running a 3-cell on an 1810, and it's got pretty good pull. Honestly, I was a little worried, but it's definitely got plenty of power. I don't think power is gonna be a problem. It gets up really quick, so the tail wants to come off the ground almost instantly as soon as you get into any kind of power, it just comes right up. So anyway, this is the first time I've actually seen the airplane in the sun. It looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and we'll give it a little taxi around. Wasn't even giving it that much power, and the tail already wants to come off the ground. So I did some work with some of the controls and stuff. The elevator was kind of sticky, and I put a bigger servo on it because it had like a servo with no name on it at all. So street sweeper just came by. But so one of the things that might fool with you is that it seems that the gear legs are canted inwards, but it's not. That's just the doors. So the doors kind of have like a little kink to them, and it just seems like they're not straight, but they are. See how that right side wheel cambered out, or towed out as soon as I started rolling? So watch it again when I start rolling that right, actually both tires. Straightens up pretty quick. It rolls real nice. Steering's really good. Scott did a good job on that tail wheel. Yeah, it's gonna have plenty of power. I had concerns at first, but I think it's gonna be fine. Yeah, it looks cool outside though. Sweet. All right. First taxi tests are always a proud moment, so. If I had a camera assistant, I'd run up to full power for you, but it actually has a decent amount of pull. I think it's gonna cruise along just nice. All right, so almost there. I got the bomb painted. Check that out. Yes, it was yellow, according to documentation. Kind of weird, but it is what it is. I got the prop painted up. Getting ready to glue the canopies on. So I got the gun positioned back here. And a little dry brushing on it. I got the instrument panel drying. I'm getting ready to bond the canopies on. This is one of the last steps. So canopy goes on, then the bomb side goes on. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to do a final checkout, radio setup. It's pretty windy, so probably won't taxi it again, but I'm charging the packs up. I'm going to do a little bit of a run up and a simulated flight on the ground, make sure temperatures stay okay. I did shim the gear out so they have a little more camber, so they don't tow or don't camber inwards so much, and that might help with the tow situation too. But anyways, getting ready to bond the canopies on, so I'm taping off around them so I don't get epoxy on the paint. So wish me luck, because if I screw this up, it's gonna look like poo. All right, guys, well, here she is, all finished up. I got the this comes off for transportation purposes, so does the mast up front. Just all clips into place. Again, Scott handmade all this stuff. Got the gun in, got the canopies on. We got the bomb sight in there. Messed up the canopies in a couple of spots, but what can you do? It's a pain in the butt. Turn this thing around so my shadow's not in there. Did a couple more run-ups. So yeah, everything's looking pretty good. I got the instrument panel in. It's, I mean, you know, standout scale, but it looks pretty cool. Again, this isn't a competition model. It's good. It's gonna get. I think it looks pretty cool though. Turned out pretty sweet. What's really gonna look great is once we get the pilots in there. It's gonna look amazing. So, like I said, we got the bomb done. I got the prop tips painted. Did some more dry brushing on some stuff. Simulated paint chipping and stuff like that. And again, it looks more blue on video than it does in real life. It's more gray. But anyways, that's a wrap, guys. We did the radio setup on it. Did some more run-ups. You could literally fly this thing for a half an hour if you wanted to. It's only pulling like 60 to 70 amps, and I got 10,000 milliamps. So yeah, and that's a full throttle, which you shouldn't need to fly this at full throttle. So as you can see, it's light. There's a little breeze out here, and it's moving the model. So anyways, pretty stoked on it. Can't wait to see it with the pilots in it, or the pilot and the gunner, I should say. But yeah, looking pretty good. Pretty stoked on it. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the journey of this airplane. And we're gonna not fly it tomorrow. We're going to the event tomorrow, but probably won't fly it till Saturday because I give people who are gonna show up late to the event a chance to watch the maiden flight. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed all these different videos of the Vindicator. And if you have any questions on any techniques or anything we've done here, just ask me in the comments. Alright guys, we'll see you in the next one.